Hey everybody, welcome back to my shop, and today we're going to turn this little beaded bowl out of walnut. But please remember, this is not an instructional video and is meant for entertainment purposes only. Your safety is your responsibility. So let's get started. So we're just going to start out with this kind of odd shaped chunk of walnut. This was given to me by a very kind family I met this last summer at one of my art sales. They had a woodturner in the family that unfortunately had passed away but left behind a whole bunch of these little turning blanks. So they told me to come grab them because they wanted to go to somebody who could probably use them. And while I was there, they were kind of cleaning up the garage and wanting to get rid of tools, so ended up buying a whole bunch of tools off them as well and hauled away a couple branch piles. And so needless to say, in the end of the day, everybody was quite happy. But that's the story of this piece of wood. But I've got the hole drilled for the wormwood screw, and we're going to just thread that on and get to turning. Just going to create a little flat spot in the center to accept the live center a little bit better. Speed's at about just over 1,000 RPM. There. Now we can do some little more aggressive of roughing. And we're just starting out with a 5/8 inch swept back grind. Let's get this trued up. Boy, this stuff is hard, dry, and dusty. I'm going to throw a face mask on. Tool rest moved up a little closer. So speed up a bit. What the heck was that? Oh. Must be going a little too aggressive on these cuts. There might be some voids in here too. I'll have to be a little more careful. Should be just about true. Well, that's pretty. It's a little bit of that damage left. It's looking pretty good so far. Let's clean her up. Just going to be very careful to reach in here to just true this up. Next, we're going to create a very small tenon down here so that we know what kind of wood we have left to work with. Maybe a little smaller yet. Now that's about the smallest tenon that my chuck can grab. Let's talk a little bit more about the shape and design we're going to go for here. Now we have these cracks that run through. We got this major one that runs right through here, and we also have some little ones up here. I'm going to basically ignore them for this piece because this will be more of an art piece rather than a utility bowl, so no worries there. But as for shape and design, I'd like to make a bit of an OG shape with a kind of reversing foot, so the foot will be fairly narrow, it'll curve outwards, and then you'll get the body of the bowl and then the lip coming back out. So foot coming in, curve out for the body, and then out for the rim. And that's that kind of typical OG shape. But what I want to do though is between the rim and the foot, I'd like to put a set of beads in there. So let's hope that can happen. Let's take our time and slowly sneak up on this shape. I'm going to crank the speed up a bit more. 1400. Well, one thing's for sure, it's a pretty piece of wood. I'm not sure what the shape is like so far. Oh, sometimes you just gotta think about it, eh? Oh, man. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I'm still not sure if the shape is right or if I should even do the beads, but I'm just gonna continue going. And if it doesn't come out right, then I learned a lesson. And if it did, then it was worth the risk. So I'm going to denote where the beads go by where the actual transition from the curves occurs. Well, I didn't like that, so I'm going to go over it one more time real quick. Okay, let's try this again. So, the one transition looks to be about right there, and the other one about right there. So let's see how this round goes. Okay, that's okay, I think. Now I got to brace this tool really tightly because it's going to want to skate on me. I don't know if this is going to work yet. So I'm going to try to figure out how many beads would look good on this, and we'll start marking them out. So I've decided on 7 beads. So I've got the calipers set so that it should divide out 7 nicely. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and basically 7. So let's see if we can get that lined up nicely. Lathe turned down to about 500 RPM just to be safe. Just going to take the skew chisel to denote those marks a little bit better. Now I honestly don't have a whole lot of experience rolling beads on a cross-grain piece. I've done it before, but like I said, not a lot of experience. So I'm going to try to work with the direction of the grain as much as I can, and then take some really light cuts to finish rolling the beads over. I tried to move the camera into the most overhead position possible so you can kind of see the tool work. You can maybe see what I do right and what I do wrong. Sorry, my phone ran out of storage while I was working on these beads. Let's get back to them. Took that one a little too heavy. I think I can still save it though, because I'll take off this one a bit. Well, I'm going to be honest, I'm not sure if I like what I see here. Maybe it would have been better without the beads. Well, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to sand it and see if I like it after that. And if I do, we'll be into hollowing next. I'll do the sanding off camera. Now that all the sanding's complete, I'm actually enjoying the shape in the beads a little bit more. It's almost as if now that the figure can really pop through, the beads appear a little bit more subtle. So I'm happy with that. And I even buffed this with some steel wool after going up to about 600 grit, just because I don't get that many opportunities to work with walnut. So let's move on to hollowing. Now there's not a heck of a lot of shoulder to this tenon, so hopefully I can get a pretty good alignment here when I reverse it. Not bad. Good enough. First thing we're going to do is we're going to set this rim. I want it to kind of dive into the bowl a bit to make it more inviting. And I also want it to have kind of a concave surface. That way I'll get nice crisp lines on the outer and inner edge of the rim. So let's get to work on that. 1400 RPM so far. I'm going to get some wood out of the way so we can work on the rim. Sorry, I forgot to turn on my second light. Just turned it on now. Let's keep working. Okay, now we'll work on the rim. Now we just have to set the thickness of the rim. Honestly, I think that's probably good right there. I don't think I want to go any thinner. Any thicker though and it'd start to look a little too chunky. Okay, now that the rim's kind of set, we can just do our regular routine of hollowing. All I'm going to aim for is fairly even wall thickness, but most importantly, I want the contour of the inside to be one nice continuous curve where it starts kind of a, not too an aggressive curve and then it tightens towards the bottom, but one nice even swoop. I don't want it to go in and out. Now, because there's that crack running through the bowl, I have to take slightly lighter, more gentle cuts, just to prevent any breakage and to avoid any extra vibration. So I'm almost to the limit of where this tool can reach because it's going to start running into the rim right away. So I want to take one last good cleaning pass to kind of get rid of all the torn grain and tool marks and all that lovely stuff. But I'd like to say a couple words on tool control and technique first. No matter what tool you're using, you shouldn't be pushing that bevel really hard into the surface of the wood. You should be letting that bevel lightly ride the wood behind the cut. And same thing with the cutting edge. You don't want to ram it into the wood. You want to just let it eat the wood ahead of the tool, letting it do all the work. And when you're controlling the tool, you should be using your rear hand that's on the handle. It'll control both opening and closing the flute and changing the angle of the tool itself. The hand that's on the tool rest, its main job is to be holding this tool good and steady. So I may not be using a lot of force on the bevel or on the cutting edge or with my rear hand, but I am using a lot of force on my front hand, especially on this project. It's not required for all projects, but this one's got a lot of vibration because of these cracks and everything. It's a pretty hard piece of wood, and it's getting kind of deep on the hollowing. So the only way I can maintain a nice steady cut is if I gently approach the wood with the tool, but use a good amount of strength on the front of the tool, holding it tight to the tool rest. It'll also help dampen vibration so you don't get that ringing tool effect there. So let's continue on with this and make a nice clean cut. Nice easy control, but hold that tool steady. See how we did. Not bad. There's a couple little tool marks in there. Maybe I'll take one real light pass, see if we can't get rid of those. Yeah, that's not too bad. You know, it's projects like these I'm going, why haven't I made that negative rake scraper yet? Just going to switch over to the bottom feeder bowl gouge. Well, due to the fact that even my bottom feeder bowl gouge not being able to make that turn at the bottom, I've just entered into the Negative Rake Scraper Club. Gary, the Papa 1947, are you proud of me? I finally made one. So anyways, I'm going to continue on with this thing. Don't ask me how to use this thing because it's the first time I've ever tried it. And but at least I've got the burr side up, so it should cut. So cross your fingers for me. Why didn't I do this sooner? I will have to resharpen quite often like they told me. Wow. That leaves a clean surface. Look at that. Oh, why didn't I do this sooner? So I'm just going to keep working away at this. I'll switch you back to high speed and we'll come back at the end and see how she looks. Wow, that takes a nice fine cut. One last little pass from the center and she's good to go. Nice. I'm still just blown away by how good that negative rake scraper works. It just cleaned up that bottom so well, took out all the tool marks and torn grain and everything. Man, I wish I would have made that a long time ago. But I'm going to sand the inside now. I'm going to see if my little homemade sanding arbors will fit in there. And so when we come back, we'll be ready to throw on some finish. Just going to rub some Odie's oil on for a finish. Keep it simple. I don't want to really make a clear coat, like build up a clear coat on the outside with a polyurethane or anything because the walnut looks so good. I don't want no reflections. So we're just going to rub some of this oil in. Oil, wax, whatever the heck it is. Man, wish we had a lot more walnut around here. Walnut will grow in my area. We have a plant hardiness of about a zone 3. So walnut grows just very slowly and it really doesn't produce any nuts. Unlike butternut. Butternut just loves it here and just produces like crazy. I'll switch the camera angle and do the outside. So I'm just going to rub a good amount into the surface and let it sit up for about an hour and then I'll buff it. And this piece will be ready to reverse in the chuck. I'm going to pull this out of the chuck just a slight hair here, just to make finishing a little easier. Try to catch the groove of the teeth there. Ooh, that's way off. There. Okay, so when we come back, I'll just be finishing up the buffing process. Just going to use a sanding arbor chucked up in my drill chuck with some shop towel here as a jam chuck to reverse the bowl. Just bring up that tailstock support. Runs good and true. Don't you love how the procedure that has the highest chance of destroying the project comes at the end of the project? Thanks for tuning into this week's video. If you liked the video, please click the like button and share it around. If you have any questions or suggestions for me, please fire those off in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. I'll have a new video out mostly every Friday. So thank you very much. Have yourself a great day, and God bless.